Gun violence claims thousands of lives each year, but even if you're not a victim, it's costing you money.
We're all paying the cost. $34 million every day in the United States of taxpayer dollars.
Then veterans say their calls for mental health help are being silenced.
I can't get PTSD medicine, I can't get PTSD care, and I have PTSD.
And one city works to hold landlords accountable after decades of deplorable conditions inside apartment buildings. When systems fail, people pay the price. We trace the damage, expose the truth, and fight to fix it. This is Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates. Gun violence. It's an epidemic that comes at a price, not just to someone's life, but to family finances too. Atlanta News First investigative reporter Andy Parati uncovers the numbers and the faces behind tragedies.
A child celebration turned to chaos.
Guns, shooting. Massive gunfire.
The adult who the men were aiming for was surrounded by toddlers at a child's birthday party.
A bounce house full of children in 2017 near College Park caught in the crossfire.
And that's all I just remember yelling, the kids.
How many gunshots did you hear? I can't count it. So many, too many.
2 children hit, including Adriana Douglas's daughter, Abria. She was 5 years old. Her grandmother, Harriet, sought a divine diagnosis.
I prayed to God that day, and I told God, I said, I don't ask for much, but if you let her stay, we will do any and everything possible to keep her happy.
Abria survived, but it came at a price. The bullet that hit her spine left her partially paralyzed. She's undergone at least 15 surgeries so far, including one this past February to install 8 screws from her neck down her back.
And like on one side of my back, on this side, when you scratch it, it teleports to the other side so you can feel it on both sides of your back.
The financial cost to the family, devastating.
It's fun though, right?
Thousands spent on robotic therapy, new vehicles to accommodate wheelchairs, and a special bed.
So this right here is a monitor for the bed.
Just a few of the costs of surviving a shooting.
It was many a days I would trying to put a little bit together just to get one meal. So we learned how to make do with what we have and get by.
The estimated cost of shooting Abria so far, $500,000. Much of it paid by taxpayers through Medicaid, a price tag increasing for all of us as gun violence soars across Georgia. According to the Georgia Department of Health, at least 22,000 people were rushed to emergency rooms for firearm injuries since 2020, a 17% increase over the past 3 years. Estimated economic cost to gun violence to Georgia taxpayers, $597 million each year.
Why are we not talking more about this?
Sarah Burb Sharps is the Senior Director of Research at Everytown for Gun Safety. She leads a team researching the financial toll of gun violence, testifying before Congress last year.
We place ourselves at a severe economic disadvantage in the global economy with these enormous outlays. Whether or not we own a gun or whether or not we are impacted by gun violence, we're all paying the cost. $34 million every day in the United States of taxpayer dollars.
Come on, Bria. All right.
A little girl, part of a growing family touched by gun violence, and loved ones doing their best to support them during an epidemic with no end in sight.
It don't really just affect that person they shot. Well, no, you took the mama, the daddy, the sister, the kids. It took something out of everybody.
Andy, I was rewatching that story. So moving, incredibly compelling. I want to know more about how you found Abria, but I also know this is a part of a larger series, incredible series called Cost of Shooting.
Yeah, so we got the idea. I was visiting North Carolina and I was interviewing a doctor about a completely unrelated subject. And he said, hey, have you done any research on gun violence and the cost of it? And I was like, what do you mean? And he says he started researching the financial cost to gun violence victims in his own practice because he'd been sort of treating a number of individuals who've been, hurt by gun violence, injured by gun violence. And he said that he was so surprised at the cost. And so that's really what started it.
As this story mentions, there seems to be some conservative estimates on all of this because the research is limited. So is there any real indication that the research will grow for this this year in the future?
So according to the CDC, the grant funds, the funding to research gun violence is still there. But according to the Trace, a nonprofit that researches and studies and reports on gun violence, nearly the entire group of CDC workers that was studying this were laid off. So the funding is there, but the work is not being done. And it's incredibly important because as the story showed, there is an underreporting of gun violence. We don't know how often it is happening because not all medical facilities are required to report. They're not reporting it to one entity, one federal entity. So the importance of finding out, you don't know how big a problem is unless you can collect the data. And right now, it doesn't appear as if that's happening on a federal level, much less a state level as well.
It's simple to say, but you don't know what you don't know. Important work, Andy. Thanks so much. Military service members fighting back after leaving the battlefield. Still ahead, we're uncovering the battle for mental health help. In one Georgia city, suicides have nearly doubled. Among the most at-risk groups are members of our military community leaving active duty. A new federal report uncovers severe staffing shortages at the local VAs create even bigger challenges for veterans transitioning into civilian life.
August 16, 2012, Kandahar Airfield. A Kiowa Warrior pilot takes off after receiving a report of a fallen angel. Captain Lucas Crabtree spends the next 6 hours locating the enemy on the ground from the air. Captain Crabtree helped recover the bodies of 7 American service members, 3 members of the Afghan National Security Forces, and an Afghan civilian interpreter. The U.S. Army awarded him with the Bronze Star for his actions, the finest of military heroism.
And I saw 11 people burn in a helicopter and I killed 5 people. It's not like they came back and did an investigation to make sure I wasn't wrong and that I wasn't going to jail or Leavenworth. But they never went to the psychiatrist or the counselor and said, please put this in his mental health records.
Lucas felt nothing like a hero when he transitioned out of his 27-year military career.
I felt as though life was over. I didn't have a job to support my 2 daughters. I didn't know, I hadn't even got my disability yet.
A 2024 report by the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs shows veterans are most at risk for suicide during the first year of separation from active duty.
I've attempted suicide 19 times in my life.
He spent 64 days in an inpatient facility that specializes in treating active duty military and veterans. There, a doctor diagnosed him with PTSD.
The treatment that I received from both nurses, doctors, physician assistants, the medicine I got, they were able to establish the right medicine.
5 years later, he is fighting to get the right kind of care at Charlie Norwood VA Medical Center.
I can't get PTSD medicine, I can't get PTSD care, and I have PTSD.
That's because his records on file with the VA show adjustment disorder, not PTSD.
How are you doing now? Do you still struggle with?
I have flashbacks. To me, it seems like more of a check block system in the VA. We've helped him today. Did you help him from committing suicide, or did you just help him today?
The Office of Inspector General's report released in August found the Augusta VA is severely short-staffed. Some of the biggest shortages, psychiatry and psychology. In a separate report released this spring, the Office of Inspector General listed concerning behavior among facility leaders, threatening and abusive communication style, retaliations for employees sharing concerns with leaders, and a toxic workplace that led to a culture of fear.
Does the culture at the VA impact veteran patients?
Yes. Yes.
Jeff Blockowitz works at the VA. Both he and his wife, Kim, are also veterans. He says he was targeted by a manager for speaking out. The nurses union sent this letter to the VA on his behalf. The NM, or nurse manager, knowingly and improperly filled out a report with false information. This resulted in severe negative outcomes for Nurse Blockowitz, including his arrest for alleged elder abuse. The charge was later dropped.
They're not fostering a safe environment for employees, nor are they fostering a safe environment for the veterans.
The Inspector General's report from May found trust between frontline staff and quality management staff hindered patient safety efforts.
I make as much noise as I can without putting myself out there to allow them an opportunity to go after me again, hurt me again.
There's two types of silent veterans. A dead one, because he committed suicide, and a veteran that's been silenced by the VA.
If you or someone you know is battling mental health issues, you're not alone. Someone is always available for you to talk. Just dial 988. The calls are always free and confidential.
More protections for renters. Atlanta News First investigates how one metro city is cracking down on landlords.
Thousands of renters in one metro Atlanta town say their homes are unlivable. Now city leaders are defining what's habitable and holding landlords accountable. Atlanta News First investigative reporter Anastasia Almos has the story.
You're watching the moments a raccoon began to break through the ceiling of Denise Wood's apartment.
Hey.
Her son yelling at it to stop.
Cut that
as it just stares back at him.
They've broken through twice. I'm sometimes afraid to go to sleep and sometimes afraid if I go to sleep to wake up because they might be in my home.
Denise has filed maintenance requests with the 575 Riverside Apartments, formerly Hunter's Grove, for more than 2 years. But like the rest of her requests, she says nothing gets permanently fixed.
When it rains really heavily, the water streams down the wall. I just want a healthy, safe space to live. And I don't think that's too much to ask for.
She says her electricity bill tripled with a window air conditioner unit this summer after the raccoons damaged half of her vents.
You know, I want my child to grow up in a safe, healthy environment.
I am powerless right now.
Denise is one of several renters who've spoken up at Mableton City Council meetings.
Gnats, roaches, half of this apartment, the lights switches don't work. It's mold all up underneath there. At one point in time, it was completely black. They painted over it.
The city of Mableton took over code enforcement from Cobb County in March of 2025. But Mayor Michael Owens says the issues at this apartment and at least 2 others on Riverside Parkway date back more than a decade. County commissioners tell us owners turned over so quickly promises to repair apartments went unfulfilled.
The week I became mayor, I went out to our code enforcement director's been there, our city manager has been there.
But the mayor says legally they haven't been able to enforce or implement change. In 2024, Georgia lawmakers passed the Safe at Home Act, which states a landlord must keep a home fit for human habitation. But Atlanta News First investigates found without a definition for what's considered habitable, some renters in different apartments across metro Atlanta find themselves living in mold, roach infestations with partially collapsed ceilings and broken appliances.
It fell a bit short. I view the Safe and Healthy Housing Act as filling that gap. It's taken a bold step forward, if I dare say, step forward where no one else has.
The city passed the Safe and Healthy Housing Ordinance in September, defining habitable to include inadequate heating, electrical, or water systems, structural damage, roof leaks, infestations, mold or moisture, and more. Atlanta News First Investigates has also found in some cases, when code enforcement takes a landlord to court for code violations, the landlord can plead guilty and pay a fine. In one DeKalb County case, we found the fine was $250.
This language, it sounds like you take it as a public nuisance and then can go as far as taking or demolishing the property.
Yes. What we all know is that a lot of times landlords, and especially large corporations, will take these fines and citations as a cost of doing business. So they literally factor that into their operating model. With this ordinance, they will not be able to do that.
The ordinance also holds tenants accountable to not destroy, deface, damage, or impair a property.
Would you have a message to lawmakers to revisit the Safe at Home Act?
I would actually encourage other municipalities across the metro area, across the state of Georgia, to take a close look at your local ordinances and see if there's things you can do to make your law stronger.
Wow, I mean, the raccoon immediately scared me. I had that audible gasp. You found out some pretty interesting things, though, complicated issues with the owners of the 3 specific complexes you mentioned in this story. What'd you learn?
Right, so that's ultimately where accountability lies, is can you help these residents? But when we looked into the court documents, that's when we found the receivership documents. There were several out-of-state companies, owners, investors listed on these court documents, which is hard to track them down. And then we did find that they were in receivership. And what that means is that the owners have defaulted on their loans with the funder, which would be capital funding in this case. And so they then appoint usually a financial company to come in and save their assets. So these apartment complexes, they brought in a company called TriGuild to manage and hopefully try to recoup the funds that they've put into these buildings. And that's called a receivership. So none of these lawyers or these companies would talk to us. So the mayor now is trying to figure out what he can do per the law to hold these owners, these funding or receivership companies accountable to helping residents.
Well, that brings us to the next point. These advocates are like, it seems like there's a gap in the law. So what do lawmakers say about this?
So we did get a response from Commissioner Monique Sheffield, and she said that HB 404, the actual bill that they passed for renters, she said, of course, it lacked a clear definition for fit for human habitation. And she said there's an opportunity here for lawmakers to revisit this law and further define it. Then you have the commission chairwoman, Lisa Cupid. She said that in 2023, they added more code enforcement officers and established even a housing coordinator position for people to go to with complaints. But she said ultimately people were scared of getting evicted if they complained. And she also says that these apartments are turning over so fast between these owners who are out of state, who in many cases, talking with the mayor, they become a number. It's a numbers game, and it's not you and me living in an apartment and our families, our children, and our well-being. With that, I then went to the state level, and we got a response there from Terry Alexis Cummings. She's the state representative there in Mableton, that kind of area of Cobb County. And she mentioned that she believes it was purposeful, that fit for human habitation was left off of the bill. And so she came forward last year with HB 725, in which she's trying to define what is habitable for renters in the state of Georgia. Now, that has not passed. It's actually still alive, and she's hoping that they can revisit it again this year. And I really think that there is a big call and need to revisit this definition.
You always give such good advice to the people that are emailing in. Most of our emails we know are from renters wanting some help. So for the people watching at home, what advice would you give them if they're living in concerning situations?
So the bill that I was referencing, it's the Safe at Home Act. And so what it does is kind of spells out what's supposed to happen. And in it, it says that your landlord cannot retaliate against you for requesting repairs. So you want to know that and keep that in mind. Don't be scared.
However, the mayor did clarify to me that a city or a county can't stop an eviction, which makes it extremely important for renters to never stop paying rent. Instead of, withholding your rent or things like that, what you should do is make those requests, get everything in documentation, writing, whether it's text message, email, and then just keep requesting. Give them time, right, for the repairs. And if they do not respond, that's when you want to contact code enforcement to get somebody out to document it at a county or city level. If you don't have code enforcement, then maybe an inspector or something like that. And if repairs are still not done after several requests, you do have the option to sue your landlord in magistrate court. Of course, that can be costly, so there are some waivers possibly if you do qualify for assistance, but unfortunately, that's where the law stands right now.
Excellent reporting. Great work. Thanks so much, Stassi. You can listen to all of our extended conversations on these stories right now on our podcast, Behind the Investigation. Just search Atlanta News First on your favorite podcast platform. You're watching Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates, a weekly hour-long investigative show with new episodes launching every Sunday at 7.